can try this fragrance and 4 great box. Hello everyone. Okay, a favourite for me. No, not that one. Okay, next up. It's Moss Cologne from the house of BORTNIKOFF. Bucks, why didn't you have the tester f***ing ready? Idiot. Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. So today we're going to have a look at Tom Ford's Beau de Jour, a great fragrance which is right up my street. Now today's video is brought to you with the cooperation of my friends over at Fragrance Samples UK, where you can get a sample of this one plus the other 3 fragrances that I'm going to mention as kind of interesting alternatives to this one that you might want to try. And there's a link to the Fragrance Samples UK website in the description of this video. It's a superb range of around 1,000 designer and niche fragrances there. Amazing service they offer to fragrance customers here in the UK. And if you're not in the UK, of course, all of these fragrances should still be of interest. So Beau de Jour 2020 re-release. It was originally in the private blend line, only released not much more than a year or something before that in the more expensive range. And then they brought it out, well, they discontinued that and re-released it pretty promptly in a more affordable format in their signature range. Most people seem to think the smell is very close. It could even be exactly the same fragrance, we're not sure, but it's very, very close. And it's got really, really good reviews from people who like aromatic fougères. As you may have noticed, that's a genre I'm very fond of. I don't want to typecast myself too much, but I do love the aromatic fougère type fragrance and the old school chypres and these kind of gentlemanly old-fashioned smells. So this is the kind of thing I really like, although, you know, I do like your modern scents too, and maybe I need to feature a few more of those on the channel, I think. So Beau de Jour 2020 release, and it's got a note listing that goes something like this: lavender, rosemary, oak moss, mint, basil, geranium, patchouli and amber. So Tom Ford in recent years has done quite a few fragrances that have a little bit of a gentlemanly old school kind of vibe. There's been the, what was it, Fougère Platine, Fougère d'Argent. What else is there? Well, way back a little bit earlier than that, there was Italian Cypress, Bois de Vert, I think you could kind of put in this category. So it's a fragrance style that Tom Ford clearly respects, and he was the man behind the original Rive Gauche Pour Homme from Yves Saint Laurent when he was creative director there, which is a really well thought of, sadly discontinued fougère fragrance. This one then, basically what's interesting, what's good about this one, why have I put 10 out of 10 fragrance in my title? I was kind of like, is it really a 10 out of 10? But I think in the wearing and the overall versatility and high quality smell of this one, it really is a perfect example of the genre of an aromatic fougère, a classical fougère. It's not with a clever modern twist, really. It doesn't smell dated, but it doesn't have a massively new element to it. It doesn't have a little bit of spiciness that you might find in Invasion Barbare by MDCI. It has a classic, traditional, dry, green, lavender, herbal tone to it, and it's very, very smooth. It has a warming undertone. So you'll notice there's no citrus notes listed. I think there's probably a little bit of a lemony bergamot thing in the opening. You do get a really nice lavender note if you're not a lavender fan. It's not a lavender bomb, but if you don't like lavender, I think you're going to notice some in here. So it's got the traditional, really key ingredient of so many fougères, lavender, and lovely, almost slightly spicy rosemary, which gives it that little twist of something interesting, a nuance that I really enjoy. And another real favourite of mine, a note that I really like, is mint in this one, which you just get a perfect dose, that little hint of maybe peppermint or something. And then the basil and the geranium, very nice. The patchouli and the amber in the base give it this warming masculine undertone that is really, really, really pleasing. Performance on this one is average to me. I don't find it to be anything fancy or brilliant in performance. So if you're really into beast mode fragrances, then you might not like this one so much, but I don't mind. I just spray more. I'm not massively focused on performance of fragrances these days. It's okay, it's decent. So really nice, really smooth. Is it, how does it rank? I've got so many fougere fragrances that I love, so let's talk about a few other alternatives. I mean, I could do an hour video on 50 or 60 different fougères that are really good, but I'm going to go for some that are, at least 2 of them are in this kind of dry fougère category with not really spicy notes or sweet. They're not a neo fougère, they're a traditional take on the fougère that you also might want to try if you're intrigued by this one or if you've tried it and you like it. So Beau de Jour for me, just to summarize. Nice packaging, now available for a reasonable price, very, very high quality scent, not amazing performance, but for a classical rendition of the gentlemanly fougère style. If you miss things like Rive Gauche pour Homme, it's not going to smell like, it's a little bit more, it's not quite as shaving foam-esque as that one, but if you miss that one, you'll probably enjoy this. For just a classic, well done fougère, it's like a margarita pizza. It's not fancy, it doesn't have pineapple on it, it's not done anything new. But if you get one that's made just right, it can be one of the best pizzas you'll ever eat. It doesn't need to have pepperoni or bananas or pork or pulled pork or tandoori chicken on it. It's simple and it works. And that's what this one does. Great, great stuff. Love Beau de Jour, a real reference point for the genre now. Nice that we get something like this still coming out in the modern day. Let's look at some great alternatives now. Okay, so here's another really, really good alternative. Again, it's kind of gettable for a not outrageous price. I guess we probably call this a niche brand. It's MAISON Martin Margiela, and the fragrance is simply entitled At the Barber's. Let's grab my tester strip. So this one, again, very dry, no sweetness here. It does have this kind of barbershop vibe. We often call fougères barbershop fragrances. The note listing, basil, bitter orange, black pepper, lavender, rosemary, a lot of shared notes here. Geranium, again, white musk, moss, leather, and tonka bean. So this one has a even more fresh vibe and lacks the warming undertones of the previous scent, Beau de Jour. So if you like Beau de Jour, you'll probably like this. This one, a little bit more obviously barbershop-ish, less of the warming, patchouli, ambery undertones that you get in Beau de Jour, and almost icy cool kind of top note of this one that just sort of hangs around throughout the wearing, reminiscent a little bit of Platinum Egoist from Chanel, which is a great scent as well. But this one, really, really nice, great performance on this one, better than Beau de Jour for me. Disadvantage, a little bit of a kind of 90s vibe maybe with that Platinum Egoist reminiscence, and a little bit more, somehow to me, a little bit more dated smelling, kind of in a 90s way, I think. A little bit of a green Irish tweed vibe even for me with this one, an undertone of that. I think it's a dihydromercenol note that maybe is common to both and gives me that feeling. I think that's in the aforementioned Platinum Egoist. Really, really good stuff if you like your barbershop type theme, nice kind of design on the bottle, quite like those from MAISON Martin Margiela. Definitely worth getting a sample of this one. Do an A/B test, see which you prefer. Slightly more under the radar house, of course, than Tom Ford, so it's good to be different, isn't it, guys? By the way, if you do like your fougère fragrances, you can sample my creation from my brand, Naughton & Wilson, Gravitas Pour Homme at Fragrance Samples UK. We are really proud to be on their books there. And this is more of a fougère with a twist because it's a bit more spicy and sweet, so you might want to check that one out. Okay, this one, I've kind of forced it into this video. It's a little bit in a different genre, but I want to talk about it. I really like it. So this one, it's from the Russian perfumer, I think he's based in Thailand, Dmitry Bortnikov, a very uber niche fragrance. Again, they've got a great range of these that you can sample. So I'll give you the note listing. 2020 release again. Grapefruit, sweet orange, lemon, bergamot, oak moss, violet leaf, champaca, nutmeg, ylang ylang, jasmine, oak moss, ambergris, atlas cedar, Virginia cedar, labdanum, vanilla and tonka. So a little bit more of a sweet and fruity opening, more of an obvious citrus thing. Yes, the sweet orange note there is a good one to pick up on. You definitely get that juicy sweetness in the opening. It's not massively similar to Beau de Jour, but I just kind of, I cheated a bit. I just wanted to talk about it because it's so great. Oak moss in the base. I believe, don't quote me, they may be using, I think they are real oak moss, so it's kind of non-IFRA compliant or whatever. So if you love the old school fragrances with that really long-lasting, distinctive real oak moss undertone in that in the base notes, this gives you that, but it's also, there's a certain exoticism about everything that Dmitry Bortnikov creates, and therefore with the ylang ylang, the vanilla and the labdanum, a little bit of a kind of almost mysterious incensey undertone to what is a sort of traditional fougere type fragrance, I think. No lavender in this one, so more of a clever niche, not dated, but kind of a little bit of an old school smell too, with the oak moss thing going on in here. Really, really vibrant, really complicated, the most complex of the bunch. Fantastic Bortnikoff fragrance, like so many. A lot of people focus on the oudi ones or the really sweet ones, but he's got a real talent for this kind of thing too. Vesna cologne from them as well, a lovely kind of fresh fruity spring fragrance. So moss cologne, if you're feeling a little bit more adventurous and perhaps a little bit more affluent, because it's more expensive to get a full bottle, you might want to try this one from the house of Bortnikov. Okay, now finally, it's a house that I'm a big fan of, and I've got some on my scarf. I sprayed a load of this on a scarf the other day, and it's hung around really well. So there you go. Top tip if you're wearing a scarf this winter, they retain fragrances really well. MILANO CENTO him. So this scent is absolutely delightful. It's a really, really classic fougere fragrance. First released in 1989. The company was around for a while, and then they weren't selling this for many years, but they came back in 2016. I'll give you the note listing. You've got lemon, bergamot, petitgrain, lavender, rosemary, basil, clary sage, sandalwood, patchouli, clove, cinnamon, and musks. Again, it's got a warming undertone. It's got tons of herbal stuff that I really, really like, and it feels really masculine. Just a twist of citrus in the opening, and not loads of it. That nice green bitter thing that you get with the petitgrain, a note that I really love. And again, lavender in here. Bit more of a hint of warming spices in this one, the clove and the cinnamon. Really give this, again, a kind of a warming feel that makes it actually really good to wear in colder seasons as well as warmer ones, and quite similar actually, really, in terms of the level of how sweet it is versus kind of herbal and green and clean cut, yet with a warming undertone. Probably the closest of the bunch in aura to the aforementioned Beau de Jour, and a really, really good fragrance from a great British house with an Italian theme. So please check out all these fragrances. Don't forget, you can sample them all at Fragrance Samples UK, link in the description. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project